Hey guys, welcome to Will to Reason. Over the past week or so, there's been some really big news. One piece of news that I just personally have been really infatuated with: the U.S. obtaining Greenland. To me, is giant. I was a really big proponent, really big fan. I really liked the idea of it. And I really like the sentiment around how Trump was kind of saying, like, we're going to get it. Like, we're going to get Greenland. We're going to take it by force if we have to. Any of these things. He was super adamant about obtaining Greenland, regardless of, what anyone said. I was a really big fan of that. I really like the idea. I really like the idea of American imperialism. I know a lot of people say, Trump probably just wants to do this so that he can, make history on his way out, so it won't be forgotten or whatever. And I think that's definitely plays a big part of it. I'm not even sure if that's necessarily a bad idea. I really like the idea of growing America. The idea of growing America, it gets Americans excited. Americans kind of dreaming again. Dreaming they want to become a part of history. That the feeling of being a part of history, something monumental happening in our generation, is something that a lot of these people really haven't been able to feel, have a lot of these people have never felt. I know my generation, maybe even the generation prior, that kind of feeling of what makes America has started been taken away from us. And so this sentiment that Trump had of, we gotta have it and we're gonna get it, that there's no wiggle room in what he's saying. We're going to have it. We're going to take it if we need to, but we're going to have it. It's just, I really, really like it. And so before I go too much further, I want to start off with why Greenland is important, because it's not just a pride thing. It's not just a nationalism thing, which, although that's a big part of it, that's not all it is. Greenland is a part of the Western Hemisphere. It connects America to the other NATO countries on the northern frontier. Greenland connects the entire Atlantic Alliance. If the bad guys were to send missiles, if Russia were to launch ICBMs at us, they would be flying directly over Greenland. And so, as the northern ice sheet melts, it makes the sea around it very cooperative. Naval routes, etc. ICBMs would be flying over Greenland, future shipping routes and naval routes. Not to mention, it's just close to us. Greenland is right next to Canada, and Canada borders us. Now, I want to be fair, because we don't need Greenland right now. If we don't have it tomorrow, we're not going to just implode on ourselves. But it is going to be very crucial within the next coming decades. By, maybe 2050. We kind of need it. Greenland is not strategically important now. Not nearly as much as it will be in the future. And so over time, you got to understand, over time, the balance of power is going to shift through changes of leadership. As new presidents get elected, we shift more left, we shift more right. And, there's going to be new leaders in Russia. There's going to be new leaders in China, new leaders in Denmark. And, there's going to be new leaders in all these places. And, some days we're going to be stronger and some days we're going to be weaker. But the balance in power is going to shift slowly but surely through changes in leadership. And so who knows, there could be a situation where China's a little more powerful than us. Or, China has the balls, however you want to say it. Maybe China just has the balls to do it because, the balance has swung in their favor slightly. So in the future, when this area becomes active, we need it. Denmark nor Europe is ever going to be able to repel an incursion from Russia and China. And China and Russia know that. They will never, ever, ever be able to do that. And so naturally, being that it's such a crucial piece of land to us, China and Russia are going to try to get a foothold in it. They're going to try to invest in it. They're going to try to station military on it. They're going to try to plot an incursion. Whatever it is, they're going to try and get some form of foothold within Greenland, because it's so crucial to us. If China were to come and drop troops on California right now, it would be over immediately. I mean, that would be reason to start a war. If they came and dropped troops right on California, we could start war on them, 100%. There's no ambiguity there. There is nothing blurring the lines. It is completely obvious. We could start a war off of that. But if China were to right now go throw some troops on Greenland, there's no guarantee that we go to war over that. And so that's why us securing Greenland right now is so important. And once they get that foothold, you will not be able to just take it back. We're not going to go over to war over that. And then at that point, we just lose it. Right, so technically, Greenland is sovereign Danish territory, which makes it far less likely that the U.S. is going to get involved compared to, like, California. And since they know that, if they touch it in any way at all, there's nothing we're really going to do about it. But if it's U.S. territory, like California, if they touch it any way at all, whether that be, espionage or they drop troops or anything at all, it's just on. And so there's really no alternative other than to own it. Maybe we don't need it today, but, by 2050 or something along those lines, it will become active in the coming decades. It'll become invaluable to us because we have to control that area. And so just earlier, Trump went to Davos to negotiate. Well, Trump comes out of a meeting with a framework which illustrates that we will not own it at all, and that maybe there'd be a security agreement with the UK and Cyprus, and the US will be able to veto, investments and expand military footprint, and parts of Greenland will become sovereign US territory, which will likely just be our bases. And so this kind of brings me to my point of Trump chickened out. That's what it seems like to me. Now, I understand that things aren't as simple as they may appear. But what Trump likes to do is he issues these maximalist threats. And then the Europeans this time actually called his bluff. They rallied and stood unified. And now there's a red line drawn. Now there's a line in the sand which we cannot cross. So, at this point, it's kind of just, what about this? What about that? But maybe if Trump didn't say, if you're not willing to negotiate, we're going to take it. We're going to take it by force. Then maybe there might be some more negotiation to be had. Maybe there could be some wiggle room and we missed something. Maybe we could talk it through and then figure something out. But now we get nothing. I mean, Trump was saying we're going to have it. We must have it. There's no alternative. We're going to take it by force, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I like it. I love the confidence. I love the idea. But it just didn't work. And I don't know whether I can blame that. I mean, I can totally blame it on him, but I don't know if I really want to fault him too much on it, because I understand that sometimes that's just how things happen. Just because, he strong-armed them, that doesn't mean it wouldn't work 9 times out of 10. Maybe this is just unlucky. And it's kind of what it seems like to me. When he throws these big maximalist threats, the Danish and the Europeans, they get nervous, they get anxious. We're trying to force their hand here, but when they actually call our bluff, that screws us. And sure enough, that's what happened. They called our bluff, and now there's a line drawn in sand. So that kind of brings me to my conclusion of it's just disappointing. I was so excited. I love the idea of American imperialism. I love the idea of taking Venezuela, taking Cuba, taking Greenland, expanding America. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to get Greenland. And so I'm very interested into how this is going to pan out. I'm really not sure what to think. Maybe there's a little bit more time we can come up with something, but it's really not looking like it. And unfortunately, I really do kind of think we just sold some absolutely crucial land, just a crucial foothold that we needed to have in the next 50 years, and it really doesn't look like we're gonna get it. I do like what Trump has done in large part. I agree with a lot of his decisions. I love the mass immigration. I wish it was more. I'm loving a lot of what he's doing, but this unfortunately is a big sell. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.